I lost my mind. I was like, why are we doing this in movies?
So
this is our review of Godzilla x Kong, the new Empire. What did you give it out of 1 out of 10? What would you give it?
I would give it a 7.8. That's what I would give it.
7.8.
So normally
Wow.
That's a decently high score. I'm not gonna lie. For just for a newer movie coming out, especially like a CGI heavy monster type flick, it's definitely a somewhat high score. It made me care. It genuinely made me care. They carry over like only the decent characters from the previous movie. They carry only over what was necessary. The plot continues. The monster action was ridiculous. I actually cared about the people in the movie and what was happening. Held my attention the entire way through. The pacing was a bit strange. It made me feel in the first 5 minutes was like, whoa, something's about to happen. And then it just chillaxed for like 20, 30 minutes. And it was like, okay, what's about to happen here? Is this going to be like an actual, like legit monster action movie? What are we going to get to? And then it gets to it. It does get to it. But it makes you think a little bit that it's not going to be what it is. I take a couple points off because some of the acting was like a little over the top. I didn't like the characters that much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I like the use of sign language. Kong being able to communicate adds a whole nother dimension to the character itself of King Kong. Makes it more human, makes it more, okay, this is something that we can care about because he has the ability to consciously go, I am hurt, help me, my tooth or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Spoiler alert, he gets his tooth taken out. It's kind of in it.
We can get into spoilers. This can be a non-spoiler review, and then we'll get into spoilers later.
Okay. Well, that's how they introduce one of the characters in the movie, and he was cool. I liked a couple of the characters.
Fuck this pillow, bro.
Not it?
Sorry about your box.
It's all right.
Oh my god, that pillow was worse.
Was it worse?
I was having a rough time. My fucking left butt cheeks asleep.
Oh man.
Go ahead with the rest of your review.
I mean,
rest of the free spoiler review. We'll get into specifics
spoiler free. There's not much else to go over outside of the spoiler-free stuff. I think you should go watch the movie if you haven't seen it yet.
You should watch every movie that comes out.
Absolutely. You should watch.
Have an opinion of your own.
Yeah. I'm not saying necessarily watch every movie that comes out, but definitely be like, oh, people say this is good, go watch it, and then have a judgment of your own. You know what I'm saying? And don't be afraid to say it's not good if other people say it is good. There's nothing wrong with that.
This is my review of it, 1 to 10. I give it a 6.6.
I could agree with that.
6.6 out of 10. I think the critics are a little bit lower on it. I think the audiences are fucking loving this movie. It's a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Because it's a fun movie.
Yes, it is fun. I will give it that. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
However, the first 30 to 45 minutes suck. They suck.
They drag.
It's not really that it drags, it's too fast. It has a Rise of Skywalker-esque thing. That Rise of Skywalker, what happens is that it just happens, it just keeps going. You give no time for the audience to breathe, and because you're trying to save time, I get it. Hollywood they have a problem with it right now, to be honest with you. They have a major problem with pacing in movies. Expositions or endings. They either rush the beginning or they rush the ending or they rush the middle. When you feel like you're being rushed as an audience, it's worse than making it feel like it's dragging on. Like Oppenheimer dragged a little bit. Can we just be honest? It drags a little bit, but it's entertaining at least, and you can at least get the plot points and have a breathable moments of like, oh, this is great. There's not much of that in this movie. The first 30 minutes, there's a bunch of cringy moments. It's like, this movie's better than Rise of Beasts, but there's a bunch of eye-rolling moments
Transformers
to me.
movie?
Yeah. This movie's better.
Oh yeah.
Way better. But it reminds me of Rise of the Beast in some way because it's like there's a bunch of eye-rolling moments.
There's a bunch of human stuff that happens. We're like, but I did this and I was saving the world, and that's what we did. There's a lot of really campy dialogue.
Yes. But after the 45 minutes is up, and we'll get into specifics why that 45 minutes was kind of shitty, other than pacing problems. I'm more of a story guy, right?
Yeah.
And so when the story's kind of bad, it's kind of hard for me to get into a movie. There's something with this movie, though. After that 45 minutes, there's a switch that turns on.
The badass switch.
And I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to turn my brain off and enjoy this shit.
Yeah,
I'm just going to turn my brain off, and I'm going to enjoy this for what it is. And the rest of the movie, I'm not going to say it's flawless, but I will say this. The CGI in particular of the cinematography is some of the best CGI I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's no noticeable CGI buildings being destroyed. There's no noticeable CGI, there's like this whip thing that this ape has on the end of it. It's like
the bone whip.
Right, the bone whip. There you go. And that all of it is just.
It looks great.
How is that CGI?
Yeah.
How is any of the fight CGI? I don't get it.
And another like thing that I like the way that this movie references the older Godzilla movies. There's a little clip. Do you remember like when they show it's like I think it's in Rome and Godzilla crushes this like spray painted like picture of himself from eating pizza and stuff. There's a bunch of stuff around it. It's like punch punch punch, which is a reference to Jet Jaguar from Godzilla vs. Megalon. They have Save the Earth, which is Godzilla versus the Smog Monster or Hedorah, you know what I'm saying? And then they have the flying saucers from Astro Monster, and then they have Skeleturtle on the other side. And what looks like Guiron from Gamera, I'm pretty sure it's Knifehead, but it looks like Guiron from Gamera. Like they threw in the references very subtly. You have to pause, look, be like, did I just see that? Like I went back and looked over it, and, you know, in a legal way. People were showing it all on Twitter and stuff. And I like all the small things. And I mean, it's somewhat biased. They referenced essentially my favorite Godzilla movies. They're just like, here you go, bing, 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 all the quick little references. Mm-hmm. So that's nice. I boosted it a little bit because of how...
We'll get into... there's a huge spoiler that I will not say, but...
Well, that wasn't a spoiler. I was just throwing out Easter eggs.
But it references an old Godzilla movie. Mm-hmm. A massive plot point in this movie. We'll get into... Do you know what I'm talking about?
Maybe. You might have to remind me.
A monster thing.
Which monster thing?
There's an extra monster in this movie that we were not expecting.
That was a reference to another Godzilla
Yeah, because
movie?
Godzilla versus blank. Godzilla fought him. And
Before?
now we'll get into the spoilers, I guess. I guess you're not picking up on what I'm putting down. Just to finish out my review, child actress. One of the worst child actress performers. Listen, I get that they're children. I get that she's a child.
Do you know who she reminded me of?
Who?
Jennifer Lawrence.
How?
She just sits there like this, like the
no.
crying face.
When is Jennifer?
Or wait,
Lawrence?
no. Who am I thinking? It might not be Jennifer Lawrence. Oh, who am I
talking
thinking
about?
Of?
You're talking
it's the
about
woman with the crying face. She's always crying. It might be Anne Hathaway.
Lawrence Pugh.
It might be Florence Pugh. It's the one. She's always crying. I can't. My bad. You might edit at that. That's how.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence doesn't make that face. She makes any type of sadness. Or, by the way, her character is either like this holy spirit of a thing, like, my kingdom, or she's like this. Her face doesn't move from this. It's horrible acting. It's cringe. It's shit. There's a scene that's very like emotional that you know that they're probably going to reference down the line, and it's a major plot point. And then all of a sudden it cuts away to a Volkswagen red car, and you're just like,
oh dude.
I lost my mind. I was like, why are we doing this in movies?
So
why just have a fucking commercial in the movie now? Just have a commercial.
It's not just they did it in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
They did it in Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
They did it in.
It looks like a car.
Barbie.
They did it in Barbie.
The chase scene in Barbie's horrific.
See, they did it in Transformers, but it looked completely different. You know what I'm saying? Like the first Transformers movie, you're not even realizing.
It's the way the car is set up diagonally. Mm-hmm. It's the way that the light is beamed. It's the main focus of the shot. You're obviously getting paid by this car brand to put this car in there, and it takes you out of the movie.
It doesn't look like a movie. It looks like a car commercial. Like it looks like something you would see, and then they show you the APR 0%. Like that. It's horrible. Sonic looked like, this is a car commercial and they're using Sonic. That might be the worst one I've ever seen.
If you want to have a car in the movie that you're getting paid from a brand or anything like that, make it an actual commercial, and then you zoom out of the TV and make it comedic. Make it something funny we can laugh at.
Or make it into a transforming robot and make it cool. You know what I'm saying?
Not in the Kong versus Godzilla movie.
I don't know, dog. That would be Kong versus Godzilla versus the Autobots versus the Decepticons.
Okay, but like...
Okay.
You're right.
You see what I'm saying?
But yeah, that's the non-spoiler review. You're a little higher on it than me. 1.2 points higher on it.
But now tell me about you're going into tell them about the callback, a monster that he faced.
So now this is spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go and watch it.
I remember the other monster. There's an ice monster akin to...
that's not the one.
What are you talking about?
Mothra.
I mean, but what about that?
It calls back to a previous Godzilla movie.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, but that was... Mothra was in King of the Monsters, and then she died, and then she came back.
But it's in an old movie.
King of the Monsters?
Mothra. You said Godzilla versus Mothra happened in an older movie.
Okay. So there's Mothra, which came out in 1961, which is just Mothra. And then there's Godzilla versus Mothra, which came out in 1964. And then there's Godzilla versus Mothra again in the Heisei era, which came out, I'm pretty sure, 1991 or 1992.
So it's a reoccurring monster that you didn't know was in the movie. That's what I said.
Oh, yeah, we had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about, Mothra.
Oh, I thought you were saying that. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, I didn't know Mothra was going to be in this. Spoiler stuff. The first 45 minutes, they're setting up these characters. The black guy from the past one. Was the doctor one in the past one too? The doctor guy?
The Australian guy?
The one that guys reminds me of Ryan Gosling a lot.
I do not remember him at all in the other one. Like, I
really?
don't remember him
He reminds me of Ryan Gosling. Like, Ryan Gosling could have played that role.
No, he could have if they had the money for him.
He did good.
He did.
I liked him a lot.
He was one of the more, like, I kind of like this guy type characters. Like,
right.
okay,
I like the black guy, too. I don't know. There's something likable about him. Even though he was cringe in the first 45 minutes.
He had some, like, moments where he was like, like just like a little bit too like
I could
dramatic.
kiss you on the mouth right now.
Yeah,
that was so good. That was funny.
Reminds us of somebody. Reminds me of somebody that talks like that.
Azel?
Yeah, my boy, but he talks like that. You know what I'm saying?
I'll suck your cock.
Stuff like that. And you're just like, all right, man. Whataburger's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
And movies like this, like I just recently watched Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. I did a review.
You rewatched it?
No.
Oh, I thought you just said you recently rewatched it.
Recently watched it.
Man.
And did a review on it.
Man.
That movie is trying so hard to be funny, and didn't make me laugh once. This movie, it's just naturally funny.
What did you think of Patton Oswalt in that movie?
Oh God!
You want to?
You know, they literally just paid him to be a narrator. Like that's the scene. All the scene is him talking about the history of this demon that they're trying. Like that's all he's in it for. He's in the half of the trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's because he's like a massive Ghostbusters fan.
It's such a bad movie.
It's rough.
It's bad.
It's rough.
But this one's fun. This one's like, hey, this one got me giggling. This one's got me laughing.
Godzilla, that is.
Godzilla X Kong.
Yes.
Godzilla X Kong, 6.6 out of 10, but you say 7.8.
7.8. It's a malleable score. I think it's
our average score is 7.2 out of 10.
Really, that's the average score. I would say this movie is
Our
slightly above average. I would say this movie is just slightly above average.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie. For me, average is like 6. For me, average is like 6.6. You know what I'm saying?
Get through the first 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. Get through it. It's going to be a lot of shit that they're throwing at you for later.
This is a good movie to like pop an Adderall beforehand because they bang it. You gotta really
but
pay attention.
They start taking their time though once they get to Hollow Earth. They start taking their time, and it's like, okay, this is good.
Look at the camouflage. Look at this, and then like a random thing will happen, and I'll be on a camera.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
So much. Halfway through the movie, I was like, this is Guardians of the Galaxy.
It feels like Guardians of the Galaxy mixed with like Jurassic Park almost.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like
it has that type of humor. It has that type of action and that like funny action.
That's
and
really
shit.
good.
It's really it's good. But like the first 45 minutes are rough.
Very rough.
It is rough.
It's not. I say very rough. If you have the ability to get into it, if the first 5 minutes of them like clapping each other and a bunch of stuff happening and Kong running around, if that can get your attention, you're like, okay, I want to know
I forget. This movie opens up with Godzilla versus like crab monster in Italy. That was tough.
Boom, 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 and then like him sleeping in the Coliseum.
After that, the next 35 minutes is like, yo, let's get on with it here.
Yeah, like I was expecting it to be like the first 5 minutes the whole time. I was like, there's a movie called Godzilla Final Wars. If that's the one that we should watch, it came out 2004. The CGI is a little rough and they use suits and stuff. But at the same time, it's the most action-packed Godzilla movie that there ever was. He fights like 18 people in it. It's crazy. But I thought it was going to be like that based on the opening. And then it was like, it's like a dream, and then like she's in class and she's scribbling on the paper, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And their mom's like, "I will do anything. I will do anything to keep her in my life. I don't know what's wrong with her. If you can figure out what's wrong with her, I'll take you to the Hollow Earth. I'll take you to the Hollow Earth." And then that's how the black guy gets involved. And he was from the last one. He beats up they beat Mechagodzilla because he was like trying to get sober and stuff, and he always kept a flask of whiskey on him. And he was like, "Oh, when I'm gonna die or whatever, something happened."
That guy was an alcoholic.
He was an alcoholic.
Whoa!
Right? And then he like threw the alcohol on the control board and stuff, and it helped him beat. That was very like classical Godzilla type foil. So I like that. You know what I'm saying? Very simple, very like kids movie kind of style, but still it's a very intense fight. I liked him. You know what I'm saying? He had a decent like overcoming in that movie. And I'm glad that he was one of the people that was brought back in this one. So I give it a 7.8. Maybe like a 7.6 if I can adjust.
Okay,
that.
if you're adjusting to 7.6, our average score is a 7.1.
I like that.
I like it.
I like
71% out of 100%.
You know what came out in 1971?
Don't tell me.
It's a Godzilla movie. So
okay, no.
It was Godzilla versus Hetero, which is one of the movies they shouted out in that movie.
Sicko mode.